We are cutting things a little close here to the release date, but we do have the Air Jordan 4 Rare Air in, so let's go ahead and talk about them. Hey, what's going on, guys? My name's Chris. Welcome back to the official WearTesters.com YouTube channel. Today we got a detailed look and review on these bad boys right here. This is the Air Jordan 4 Rare Air. This is a pair that I have been anticipating since I first saw them. I thought that they were beautiful right from the jump, and getting them in hand only solidifies that feeling. Like, these are even better than the Air Jordan 3 Rare Air, which were fantastic in and of themselves. Now, before we get started, we did want to just remind you guys that if you were interested in supporting the WearTesters channel directly, outside of just liking, watching, and subscribing, and hopefully leaving a comment, you can go support our latest merch collab with Serious Player Only, where we have re-released some of the best socks in the game. Not only that, but they're available now in some brand new colorways, such as this amazing white and red, and this really awesome black and pink. And then we have a restock on some of our more popular ones, like the white and black, as well as the black and red. We've even got a crew cut option for those of you guys that like a slightly higher cut. And then there are 2 performance shirts available right now. The Simply State Testing in Progress, something that we do on the court all the time. So if you're interested, make sure that you head over to SeriousPlayerOnly.com. You can also check a link down below in the description box. And with that being said, the face box is back with this particular pair. Not every Rare Air Jordan so far has been released in this box, but these ones have been, so I think this is awesome. This was an era in and of itself, and I think that it's great that Jordan Brand is paying tribute to this original box, or this style box. It's not an original box. This is what Jordan Retros came in after, I believe, if I'm remembering correctly. This is where Jordan Brand, what shoes were they? It's like the 2004-ish time frame, somewhere around there. It was after my high school years. I'm pretty sure it was after the silver box with the Jordan logo on the front, like the red Jumpman, because the shoe that these resemble a little bit, or take that Rare Air inspiration from, came in a different box entirely, I believe, which was a black, silver, and kind of chrome box. So yeah, if my memory is serving me correctly, I believe that's it. But either way, I love the box. I think it is awesome. But more importantly, the shoes are great. They actually come individually wrapped just like this because they are made of super nice materials, which I really love, so I dig that. These are a little bit different than the Air Jordan 3. I think that this one looks a little bit better, and I think it's because of the upper treatment. So while a lot of the materials are the same and the colorway is pretty much the same, this guy features nubuck on the upper where all the black portions are, whereas the Air Jordan 3 Rare Air featured the leather and it had kind of, I wouldn't say like a glossy look to it. It was like a matte leather, but this just looks cleaner with the suede toes and stuff. I just think that this looks fantastic. Now, this whole Rare Air theme is just pulling from Jordan Brand's basically past, or its heritage of sample products and errors and variants and all of that stuff, which we've seen on the internet for quite some time. And even going further than that, like in magazines, I have a bunch over here, but you would see like pairs that have never released and everything like that. And so in essence, those are considered Rare Air. So if we're gonna look at my magazine that broke a while back, if you guys remember that episode, shout out to you. Thank you so much for watching. But basically, we've got a bunch of Rare Air pieces. You would recognize these as something fairly recent, but back in 1985, it was actually a sample that was unreleased. That, my friends, is Rare Air. You've also got this Air Jordan 1 Hoyas, which we also talked about with the Air Jordan 85 release of the Georgetowns. Again, Rare Air. An AJKO that never dropped? Rare Air. Or how about these? That's definitely Rare Air. We've talked about this before as well on the, what the heck were they called? Those black and silver Air Jordan 11s that had the Jordan down the eye stay.
It's not Jubilee. It's like...
Was it though?
Is it?
Some of the first run Air Jordan 11s actually had the lettering down the eye stay area, something that they actually did change up, but a few pairs got out like this. Those pairs would be considered Rare Air. You've also got these bad boys right here. This was an original pair overseas, I believe. I don't remember if they released or if they were just supposed to as the launch colorway, but they would eventually see a retro release known as the Gray Toes. Actually, there were 2. There was one in 2004, 2005-ish that were a little bit different than those, much darker of a gray toe and a maroon. And then they did one more like the original sample as an actual retro we got a review, but before then, those were definitely considered Rare Air. So that's what these releases have all been about. It's just about the stuff that, is rare and it's fun and all that stuff. The things that you would see over at Nike DNA, which most people aren't allowed in, but there's some crazy there, trust me. Now, what makes this pair unique is the tongue itself. There is a tongue patch on here, which you can see on this one is actually upside down, but it's because we put it back that way. But you take this off And behind it, it says Jordan Rare Air. There's actually 2 versions of this shoe like this. So some pairs, and this is going to be randomized depending on the retailers and all that stuff. So like you may get the golden one, which is supposedly the more limited one, or you could get the white lettered one, which is supposedly the more general released version. Either way, they're all mixed up in everybody's quantities and stuff like that. So good luck, I guess, if you're looking for one over the other. But mine just happen to have the gold lettering, and this patch feature, along with the Jordan Rare Air label that's underneath it, actually made its debut, I should say its only debut, all the way back in 2006 when the Thunder and Lightnings released. There was this extra one called the Tour Yellows that were super limited, and they were also nicknamed quite literally the Rare Airs because they had this patch on there. It said Rare Air behind it. They were pretty dope. I never got a pair, but I've seen them around every once in a while. But yeah, that's the main gist of why this one is a little bit different than say like the Air Jordan 3 and things like that. I do think that it's really cool, and I just like seeing it. Before I forget, they do come with an extra set of laces. These are really interesting ones. They almost look like some of the clothing. It's like a distressed blue lace. It's pretty sick. And if you were interested in the insole, they do have an actual polyurethane one, which was such a nice surprise. So I was glad to see that in there. It'll make these heavy things much more comfortable. Yeah, because the midsole doesn't feel quite as soft as like the white cement. So hopefully they break in, but like my white cements, the more that I wear them, the better they get. These ones, I don't know, man. These are heavy, dude. Like, this is kind of funny. But anyways, the outsole is awesome. It's very similar to the blackened cements. There's just a little bit of extra aging on there, as well as those blue hits. Moving on up, you've got a polyurethane midsole. Inside of that is an encapsulated 4-foot air sole unit, and in the rear is a visible one. Now the materials, like I was saying before, I feel like that's where this particular pair really shines. I will say that that's where the Air Jordan 3 version shined as well. Those materials were really nice. They were really like luxe feeling in comparison to other retros. And this one right here is no different. Like this nubuck and suede mix is really, really cool. I will say this toe right here, the suede, like the dark gray suede, this is more along the lines of the color that should have been on the heels of the Air Jordan 8 Aqua. You know, I don't know why they sourced such a light gray on there. Maybe it's just to differentiate it between the previous versions that have released. But in the realm of trying to get things as close to the original as possible, this gray right here is that. So I'm surprised they didn't use this, especially when they sourced it for this. But either way, the material's really nice. So you got suede on the toe, nubuck everywhere else. And yeah, this is just, it's good stuff, dude. Like I fuck with this really, really hard. Something that's also very interesting is the way that they've implemented color or lack of color into some standard features, such as the, what I call lace crowns, but they do resemble basketball nets. So basically this bottom eye stay area, the plastic tabs are red and they're highlighted in color, which is pretty normal. But then when you move on up to the back wing area, the lockdown wing, that's muted out all in black. So it just kind of gives an interesting vibe when you're looking at it. The shoe itself does come with the Nike Air tag. The interior lining is also slightly mismatched. We've got blue around the main body, but then behind the tongue is a light gray that matches the outsole right here. But there is still the original Air Jordan patch that's upside down behind there. And then something that's also a little bit different compared to the Air Jordan 3 Rare Air would be in the form of the back heel tabs. These guys are not reversed or anything like that. They're just both very standard. Nike Air branding, very simple. I will say that the tab itself is on the softer side, not quite Nike SB4 type of soft, but soft nonetheless. Now in terms of sizing, they do fit true to size. Whatever you typically wear in your Air Jordan 4s, that's exactly what I would recommend getting. If you're interested in grabbing a pair and you happen to be here local in the Sacramento or Elk Grove area, make sure that you hit up Phenom. They have 2 locations, one in Elk Grove, one at the Doco Shopping Center. And if you're interested in what their launch procedures are, make sure that you follow them simply at Phenom Global over at Instagram. Now, with all that being said, what is today's user submitted question of the day?
What is your criteria for putting a sneaker on the wall behind you? I think the last time you put something up there was the Converse Weapon.
Yes. And so mostly like this wall is reserved. I think everybody can like tell, right? Can they see that in that camera or is it that camera?
They can see it better in camera A. You kind of block it in camera B.
Okay, so yeah, so this wall is reserved. It's the tribute to Kobe wall. So that's, you know, self-explanatory and everything like that. That wall back there though it's kind of interesting because it started off as just like history pieces, like shoes that I felt that I actually owned that should be like showcased that I also feel are kind of like underrated or whatever, you know what I mean? So like important pieces within sneaker history in and of itself, which is still fairly true, but it is mixed in a little bit with my personal history and stuff. So the bottom one has the Reebok pumps obviously iconic, you know what I mean? Like the pump system is, whether like your feelings on them currently are whatever they might be, you know, back in the 80s, like it was all about pumping it up and airing it out. So yeah, so I got those there simply for that. Moving on up is the Penny 3. That's an original pair in my favorite colorway. Only 2 colorways released. It was the black ones of those. And a follower of ours, subscriber and everything, he actually got these for me and he sent them to me. So it was a gift. So it's a little bit of like, I think that these are amazing and thank you, you know what I mean? So like, just that's what it is. The shoe above that is the Solo Flights. That is a little bit of like that mix where that's kind of a shoe that's like lost in the grand sea of retros and stuff, because you know, stuff like this gets retroed over and over and over again, whereas a shoe like that has never seen the light of day since its original release. It just so happens to be my first pair of Nikes on top of that. We did make a video on that, my first pair of Nike Airs. And I go over the story of how I got them and everything like that. That's not my actual original pair. I actually dogged the out of those, so they no longer exist. Above that, the Converse Weapon, both in the Larry Bird and Magic Johnson versions, one of which has never released. I don't know why they didn't release those shoes. Like that was like a Friends and Family, the Lakers one. So these are the newest versions, like the remastered versions, I guess you can call them. And they're up there much like the pumps for obvious reasons. Historic shoes, you know what I mean? Like that was back then at least, like the brand. It's Converse and Reebok, you know what I mean? Like those were the two constantly going head to head. Yes, Adidas at one point in time, but Adidas was a little bit before that, like the shell toes and that, like, believe it or not, people hooped in Superstars and Chuck Taylors. Like those were the two main options. So yeah, and then above that is the brand black rare metal, and that is in the colorway that I designed that actually hit retail. They got the WearTesters logo on the heel. I do have a video on those somewhere on the channel as well. They released at Finish Line as well as in store at Bait, which is a boutique type of store and stuff. So it's kind of like a cool milestone for me personally. It's kind of rare to be able to make your own product and actually have it sell on shelves and stuff. So yeah, it was pretty dope. Could the items on that wall change at a certain point? Possibly. If I get something that I feel is like so iconic that it can replace anything that's on that wall, that's when you'll see it change. But outside of that, it's kind of been the way that it is for a little while now. I think the last pair that I put on there were the Flights and the Converse. But with all that being said, sound off below and let us know what you think about the Air Jordan 4 Rare Air. Are you really anticipating this pair, or are you gonna let them sit on shelves like most people did with the Rare Air 3s? I wonder what it is about the 3 versus the 4 that people are, because before it was the 3 everybody was beasting over for a while, and now it's like people change over to the 4 for some reason. The Jordan 4 is obviously my favorite Air Jordan of all time, but I think that the Air Jordan 3 is iconic in and of itself, and when they're done right, it's amazing. So sound off below and let us know. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for watching. I greatly appreciate you guys supporting us, and we will catch you all in the next one. So, man, I'm talking so much. Just until next time, guys, I hope you guys have a good one.